Good evening and welcome to another edition of Late Night Dental Marketing Talk. I'm your host, Paul Speziale, or Paul on Dental Town. So tonight we're going to look at another way to increase your profits, and that's to cut your accounts receivable in half. That's a question I get occasionally, not as much as increasing new patients or increasing production or keeping the schedule filled. But it's certainly something that bothers a lot of dentists because it's almost like someone's screwing you over. And it is. Because it's like someone screwing you over. You know, you did the work for them and they refuse to pay you, and it's irritating, and it also cuts into your profits. So we're going to look at some strategies in order to cut those receivables in half. So the first strategy is, of course, what's done at the front counter. Now, mostly everyone knows they have to collect at the front counter, whatever it is. And but what happens is when you examine it closely, you notice that the staff sometimes don't always follow through with it. They may fear telling the person that they have to pay, and then if they get any sort of talk back from the patient, then they might back down completely and the patient leaves without paying, or the patient leaves with only paying a portion of it. And that leaves you the irritating task of having to collect for them at the end of the month or at the end of 2 months, and they keep not responding to you and so on and so forth. So at the counter is the first step to making it. And I would say that most dentists know this. The point is just to manage it and make sure that they're actually doing it. Okay? Now, the next thing is don't go to a collection agent yet. Make sure that when you're talking to them, you treat them as a human being. The reason why I say that is because two things. One, if you start throwing at them lawyers and collection agents, if you start throwing lawyers at them and collection agencies, what it'll do is it'll activate their fight or flight response. And that fight or flight response is set up so that people can avoid potential harm. And that's sort of what they see at that moment. It's not a rational response. It's an emotional response. It's part of the three layers of our brain, three functional layers of our brain. It's one of the most primitive aspects of our brain. And it is the reason why a lot of us have, survived over the, years, is because fight or flight does actually help us out. But in this case, it actually comes in harm's way of you. So you will not collect if you start screaming and yelling at them. Now, the second thing is that there's this guy named Bill Bartman. He's a billionaire now. At one point he was just a millionaire, and then he had lost all of his money for some reason. His business went bankrupt. Cycle of the market, and he owed the banks, he owed investors and the government lots of money, $1 million, and he had nothing, no income coming in, and he had a family to raise, so he had to get out there and hustle. What he found was when he went to government auction one day, he found that he could buy some government's over 90-day debt or whatever for 10 cents or 5 cents on the dollar. So he tried that out. He bought a few of them that he could afford with the last remaining piece of cash that he had, instead of putting it into his family. So he took the risk. Now, by buying that, what he did was he adopted a different approach to collecting that money. His approach was to treat them like a human being and respect them. Talk to them normally, very softly, maybe build rapport, find out why they were negligent on their bills and that kind of thing. He had such a high response from that. I think 90% he was able to close and get money back from the collections. That he took that money, went to the bank, rolled it up, and then bought some more debt. And he kept doing that. He kept buying debt over and over and over again. He kept doing that, rolling the profits to the next step and then buying more and more debt until he became a billionaire. So when I found that out, a few of my clients had accounts receivables, and I wanted to test it out and to see what kind of results we can get from it. So I drafted a series of letters, and maybe 2-3 letters plus an additional 1 or 2 after that, and I sent them out. For a $200 to $300 cost to mailing them, we brought back several thousand, and that's the power of it. And we're very happy with that. If that fails, and of course there'll be people on there that still don't respond, even if you treat them like a human being, and even though I used every psychological tool that I could possibly think of in those letters, some people don't respond, then you could send them to the collection agency, then you can send them to lawyers and that kind of thing, or sue them in court. Depends. You don't want to be spending time in court, because spending time in court means, yes, you'll probably win the case, but what'll happen? You'll be awarded the judgment, but most often people can't pay it, so you won't be able to collect the money anyways. At the same time, you'll be out that day of work, so you'll have missed thousands of dollars in billings. So you have to assess whether it's worth your time or not. And yes, I know it's troubling, because some people, it seems like they're sociopaths, and they just do it on purpose just to irritate you and to treat you with no respect. And at the end of the day, it's better for you to ignore them and then just follow like a more rational approach and collect money from who you can collect money from, using that kind of system that I'm talking about, and then ignore those people as a write-off. Those are very few and far between. The vast majority of people will be the type that will respond to treating them like a human being. Most people want to do the good thing. The other way to keep your accounts receivable cut in half is if you're offering in-house financing, cut that down dramatically, and instead put in third-party financing where you can. So have someone else deal with the problem. Now, third-party financing is great because there's no recourse on you, so it's up to them to collect the money. And they don't use any strong-arm tactics on people, because they work with dental companies, they work with medical companies, and you can't strong-arm people at the end of the day with harassing collections calls. They're in charge of that, and they pay you all your money up front, so you don't have to worry about it, and then they have the obligation to take the payments and so on and so forth. Yes, there's an interest cost to it. Yes, there's a fee that they charge your office. And at the same time, what you're getting in return is the total amount. Receivables cut in half, less work for everyone involved, and you're more happy at the end of the day, more profit in your pocket. And that's what it's all about, right? Alright, so that was a short one, but it's not over yet. The next video that we're going to be talking about is one that I've been getting a lot of requests for, is that a lot of dentists are having trouble finding a way to get patients that haven't been into the office for over 2 years out of their software. So in the next video I'm going to be talking about how to do that, and it'll be the last video that I'm going to be talking about the top questions that I get. After that, you'll be receiving videos talking about the top questions you should be asking, which you may not know about, and will help you double your patients' production and profits. Okay, this is Paul, and have a good evening. If you enjoyed this information and would like to receive 15 free videos of the top questions and answers dentists ask about dental marketing, increasing patients, production and profits, and practice management, please visit www.doubleyourpracticenow.com or dypnow.com.
I recommend Paul to whoever wants to increase their production and patients. Thank you.
I look forward to continually working with him on cosmetic cases.
I can wholeheartedly recommend
and I would
Paul
definitely
Chessial,
recommend him to anyone.
a marketing manager and consultant for
I would highly
dentists.
recommend Paul for any dentist who wants to increase.
If you're looking for new patients, if you're looking to take your practice to the next level, I think definitely sitting down with Anello Solutions and Paul and seeing what he can do for you. And I would gladly recommend him highly to any